you check the children? Show a little match sometimes.
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
Sometimes. That is better.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Howdy, folks. Welcome back to the Horror Show. I'm Rob the Wolfman.
And you got Jaime and Fuego here, and more patron stuff we are getting caught up on. Just got done doing Mad Monster last weekend, and so now we can, get back to the proper proceedings, and most notably talking about another one that has been sitting around for a hot minute. We love you, Scuba Steve. We're, just very happy about the support and stoked on that shizzle, and so we have Garrett's last...
Johnny Frank Garrett's last word.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's a very lengthy sort of title in this regard, and it's dwelling within the real world. This is based on true events about somebody who a lot of individuals have said was falsely accused and executed, unfortunately, for a crime that did he commit, did he not commit it?
Yeah.
And so this is one of those based on true events and yet implementing a supernatural sort of sense to it.
with obviously the Hollywood embellishment and everything on it.
Yeah, anytime it's like based on a true story or based on true events or whatever, that's, you have to have that sort of like, window dressing and, greasing the proverbial gears and stuff like that. But overall thoughts, I dug this one. I did. It was solidly acted. It had an intriguing premise, and it had funny stuff like "Kiss My Ever-Loving Ass," which was well documented, right?
Well, yeah, that was an actual quote from his last words, basically of "Thank you to my family, for taking care of me all these years," and then what was it? Everyone else can kiss my ass.
Yeah. And so was this in Texas? It's been a few weeks since I've watched it, so I'm trying to remember.
I believe it was. And so Texas or Louisiana, somewhere in the southern states and everything. Yeah. Yep. But this movie was more enjoyable than I thought it was going to be. Again, it was solidly acted. We had Sean Patrick Flannery.
Yeah, young Indiana Jones.
Young Indiana Jones.
Obviously Boondock Saints. Most people know him from that. Yeah. He's still doing a lot of work. He was just on the most recent season of The Boys, actually, and he was great.
Oh, he was Gunpowder.
Little bits on that.
What's funny is I didn't realize it was him.
I didn't either
until
the
helmet was off and he was getting the shit kicked out of him. I'm like,
Butcha.
Yeah. But no, this movie, it was surprisingly pretty good. The supernatural aspect, it was what you'd kind of expect as for what they were trying to portray as him coming back for a revenge beyond the grave.
Yeah, some sort of recompense and going after everything from officers to teachers to social workers to all that. So it kind of runs the gamut in that regard. It's not as hardcore horror, with the exception of one particular scene that involves pencils, which I remember very specifically. That was effective,
solid.
Dude.
Yeah,
It really
scene
was
solid. So basically, overall, real quick on the story is it's about a man that is accused of assaulting and murdering a elderly nun. And this is about his trial and execution, and his last words through his written script that he basically cursed upon the jury that convicted him. Him maintaining his innocence up until the very end, which again he did in real life as well. He maintained his innocence all the way up in the end. That's where I still the question: did he actually do it, or didn't he?
And then it segues into a particular male juror who was part of the process and who was very hesitant about
had doubts about it the entire time.
Trying to convict him, and he is the one who was thinking, okay, we wrongfully convicted and killed this guy, and he is the one who is almost a whistleblower for the situation, and he even goes to the prosecuting attorney, and that guy is degaff. He doesn't care. He's like, yo, whatever. We just, we squelched the problem.
It was, and that was going back to because even with the actual case is they looked at it a lot of the things didn't look right, and they were chalking up to there was some not so right things going on with the cops, and almost like they were just looking for a conviction. They didn't give a rat's ass who they convicted.
Truly. And I mean, there was such a thing back before there was forensic evidence where so many people on death row, they're like, oh, they were, they didn't actually commit these crimes. They shouldn't be executed. So it's kind of crazy how it was very much like the most likely suspect had to be the suspect. And so that's kind of what happened with Johnny Frank Garrett in that regard. So,
But yeah, other than that, after the execution, one by one, people of the jury start dying, and our main character, played by Mike Doyle.
He's really good.
Yeah,
in
yeah. I
this.
think his character name was I think Adam Redman.
Yeah,
But yeah,
he's not goofy. He holds it down.
No, he
man.
was solid. And I know
Very
I've seen him in some other stuff. I just can't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah.
But like we had said earlier, everybody did great. This was a solid movie.
I thought his son was even pretty solid, especially with some of the residual effects without getting into like too much spoilery sort of business. And this does get into some like heart-stopping sadness at particular points in this film without going into super spoilers.
Well, real quick on everything. Obviously, we already talked about the story. Let's just get over real quick into effects. Yeah. Because like, it wasn't a whole heck of a lot of effects.
How about the dream hallucination-y sort of sequences that we have?
They were decent.
I felt they were a little overboard in the third act, and they kind of messed with the narrative slightly, but I don't know. They had a cool psychedelia to them of sorts.
You're talking about like that last like 10 minutes kind of thing.
Yeah.
That
it just got a little much. For me,
it was drawn out a little bit. That could have been chopped down at least a good like 8 minutes, and I think would have been wrapped up a little bit quicker.
Yeah, it just didn't feel as effective as I think they were intending it to be.
No.
But personal opinion.
And even with the ghost character of Johnny Frank Garrett, I don't know if they were trying to go for like scary or just like whatever. Yeah. There was no menace really to him. He looked like a Wish version of Charles Manson.
Yeah. You're not wrong in that regard.
Pretty much in everything what he looked like.
Yeah, as far as complete...
We didn't have a whole heck of a lot of effects in this.
No, not so much. No.
We had a couple little gore scenes, obviously, like we mentioned. There's a pencil scene, a couple other death scenes. Nothing.
But it is relatively moderate,
Nothing spectacular. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all about the residual effect of the, I mean, dare I say, kind of half PTSD, half like otherworldly sort of insight that we get from our lead guy, Doyle or Boyle.
Yeah, Mike Doyle. Yeah.
So still a fairly effective film. My biggest criticism, as we're kind of rounding things out here, is that I do feel like the first two acts were really strong and really interesting, and the film kind of fell apart in its like last like 20-30 minutes or so.
It felt rushed, but at the same time, it felt like they just tried. They didn't have enough in, but they had too much in at the same time. If that makes kind of sense.
No, it does. It does. It's like where you overstuff the turkey with ideas that don't necessarily all like coagulate, so to speak.
And like we said earlier, just going back real touch because we didn't really touch too much on acting, like we mentioned it. But this movie is a solidly acted movie. Yeah. Like there
across the board too.
Yeah, honestly, even the kid and everything, he did a great job on this. The wife supporting people didn't have an issue with that.
We watch a lot of goofy movies with hammy ass acting. This one plays it very serious and very straight.
It's one of those ones like if you you judge the book by its cover kind of thing, because it does have a very like a cheap B movie look.
And it is low budge.
This is obviously a B movie. It's it's a low budge, but again, it's how you do it's how you execute it. What's your final product?
Yeah, and also how
your
story
is
material, right?
Yeah, and your story is going to be your biggest selling point, especially if you're not working with a massive budget. But always though, your story should always be your main focal point.
And also similarly, like when Cecil and I were talking about 13th Locker, which is another Patron that we did recently. This is a film I'd never heard of. I'd never heard of this movie until it was until Scuba Steve requested it. So props to giving a good recommendation in this particular regard. I'm not gonna say I loved it, but it was very solid and very effective. And until the back half, I was intrigued and interested, and I had no idea about the plight of this particular person and whether they were guilty or not.
I didn't know. I went into this basically with a blind eye.
Same. Yeah.
I didn't realize it was actually based on a true story till like the end when they said it. I'm like, what the fuck? So I went down like a good 45 minutes to an hour rabbit hole, like reading,
did you actually
reading a bunch of shit and everything?
Yeah, because they had all that postscript where they're like, this person died because of this weird shit. This person died because of this weird situation, and it's it is very peculiar the way that it went down in real life, no less. Aside from any Hollywood embellishments and extravagance. So
But yeah, I think this will probably be pretty much wrap it up for this
Indeed.
review
Yeah.
of Johnny Frank Garrett's Last Word.
That's the title.
Thank you again, Scuba Steve.
Damn right, man.
And everyone
Scuba
else,
Steve.
everyone else here at the patrons and everything. Love you guys. We'll see you again here soon.
Damn reason.
And, well, real quick.
Yeah.
I'm Rob the Wolfman.
And gracias a Jaime and Fuego.
And remember,
Stay
stay scared.
scared.